Hi there, Release Fire here. So I'm going to talk you through my best Nintendo Switch Sports Badminton tips. These are the strategies I use to get up to B rank in a single day, and hopefully they're going to help you out. If they do, drop me a like below. But starting off with the first tip, which is to push your opponent back in order to land a drop shot. This is great because you can just try to use a bit of power to push them back with a smash and then drop shot a little bit closer. If you haven't done a drop shot yet, it's simply a case of holding down the Z trigger as you're swinging your Joy-Con, and that will land it just the other side of the net. And that leads in nicely to tip number 2, the drop shot serve. And this is essentially to be able to do a drop shot for your serve, which means you don't have to face a smash for the return from your opponent. It also means you'll be able to land a smash for your next opportunity, so it definitely works out well. And you can land a drop shot serve by just holding the Z trigger as you're serving. And tip number 3 is to reset smash control with a drop shot. And this essentially means that if somebody is repeatedly smashing you, you can give yourself an opportunity to do a smash back by doing a drop shot, and then they'll be forced to hit it a little bit higher, which gives you the opportunity to get in with your own smashes. My 4th tip is to correct your racket position if it feels off. So if you think for some reason you're not able to return and your racket just looks like it's in a funny position, just point your Joy-Con at the screen and press the top button, and that will reset its position again, which should reduce the amount of times you miss shots. And that continues into my next tip, which is to clear a path between the Joy-Cons and your Nintendo Switch to avoid any controller issues. This is essentially if you've got something vaguely blocking the route between the two communication channels, then you might miss the odd 1 or 2 shots because your Joy-Con messes up. However, you're still going to miss the odd 1 or 2 shots even with those 2 things fixed. So just don't get frustrated by it. Reset yourself. Make sure you fix those 2 things if they are an issue, and get yourself ready for the next rally. And a big part of that is readying your racket. So you want to hold the racket ready for the next shot that you want to hit. So you can see this came in on the right hand side, and I held my racket on the right. The next shot was on the left, so I held my racket on the left so that I can do a backhand. And it's just a case of predicting your shots a little bit better so that you're always ready for it. And that will give you a chance, which is tip 8, to steer your shots left and right. And the idea here is that if you see a space on the left, hit it to the left. If you see a space on the right, hit it to the right. And what you're trying to do is cause your opponent to make a mistake. And once you get better at that, you can then move on to a more advanced concept of this, which is to push your opponent all over the court. And the idea here is just to make things as difficult as possible for your opponent. And that leads on to tip number 10, which is the impact of sheer variety. So it's not just hitting left and then right and left. It's about mixing that up with smashes, with lobs, with drop shots, everything that you can do to be able to make it as difficult as possible for the opposition to score points. And then tip number 11 is just to keep on going until the other person makes a mistake. It's a simple idea, but if you can literally return everything and work on your variety, then you've got a better chance of winning more points than your opponent. Once you've got to grips with all that, you can then start to be a bit more strategic about repetition and change. And the idea here is to try to repeat something until the opposition gets used to it, and then instantly change out of nowhere. So they'll start to get used to the style of play that you have, but then if you change it up, then you've got a good chance of surprising them. Now, all of these things are much easier if you stand up while you play. So tip number 13 is to get up on your feet and play literally like you're playing an actual game of badminton. It'll definitely help you to be more accurate and to be able to do all of the shots that you're trying to accomplish. And then the next tip is all about fall prevention, so that you don't keep falling over because you're swinging too early. So essentially this is you're literally just swinging too early for any of the shots. A lot of these could be if you're getting like surprised by a smash when you're expecting an overhead shot, and if you just wait an extra second, you've got more chance of falling less. And then secondly, it's about being more defensive on smashes. So try to do a drop shot or a lob shot off smashes and you'll have a better chance of staying in the game. And next up, it's more of a specific move, and essentially what you're looking to do is a sharp drop shot, and this is to push them into a corner and drop shot on the opposite side. So you can see I'm trying this on a number of occasions here, and eventually it pays off and they do a wobble shot, and then I'm able to just super smash it down to be able to pick up the point. This is an absolute banker for points against most players, so keep trying that until it stops actually being effective, and then mix it up with some of the other moves that I'll talk you through in the rest of the guide. But firstly, it's important to try to exploit a player's weakness. So as soon as you find a shot or a sequence or a type of play that the other player really struggles with, keep on doing that, and obviously change it up a little bit to create enough variety. But if you can surprise them with the same move enough, then you should pick up more wins. Another thing to think about in terms of your variety and surprising a player is that every now and again it can work well to fire right at a player. In fact, you can do this on a repetition point of view, so you just keep firing at a player and then switch it up. Or you can switch it up by firing at one particular position and then firing it directly at the player to surprise them. It can work really well and help you to turn the tide on a number of tough points. And talking about winning tough points, the super smash isn't indefensible. You can defend against this by doing a down up backhand shot. You can see I did one there into the top right hand corner, so you just need to be able to know that if you've got a super smash coming in, be ready to do that shot as soon as it lands, and you can still turn it around and pick up the win, which I love because in that game it helped me pick up the B ranking towards the end of my day of crazy playing. Next up in my tips for badminton on Nintendo Switch Sports is that if all else fails, and by that I mean you're really struggling to break a player down, then drop shot, drop shot, drop shot. Just keep going crazy with the drop shots, mix it up, do different shots in between, but keep on keeping them on their toes, and eventually they will start to get a little bit worn out or a little bit frazzled by all the crazy drop shots, and you should be able to get them eventually. It takes a little bit of time, as you can see in this game, but if you just battle it out and hit up a lot of drop shots, then it'll add another way of picking up points in your games. And then next up, this is one of my favorite moves. It is power plays, and the idea here is to set things up so that you can do smash after smash after smash. And what I kind of noticed is that the more power I put into the swing of the Joy-Con controller, the more it seemed to kind of push the opponent back, and that allowed me to then hit up a drop shot and get a wobble and finish it off with a super smash. You can also use drop shots as an alternative to super smashes if you think the opponent is a little bit good at returning super smashes. Then instead, when you get the opportunity, when they do a wobble shot, instead of landing a super smash, essentially just do a drop shot and they should have no chance of being able to get to it in time. Another approach that's kind of the opposite of the power plays is to use drop shots and then hit up a smash as a surprise move to be able to land the point. And essentially here you just get them used to picking up drop shots. So you do a few of them together and then out of nowhere smash it right back at them, and that should surprise them enough to give you a wobble shot return, and then you can just smash it down or drop shot it to be able to pick up the point. Now sometimes you're going to get a wobble shot that you just can't get to quickly enough to be able to super smash it down to pick up the point, or to do a drop shot that will guarantee the point. And an alternative to this is to lob it into the opposite corner like that, and you can see the player didn't have enough time to get to it, so if you add that into the way that you play, it should give you another option when it comes to picking up points. And finally, if you find yourself up against a player that's pretty good at returning super smashes, then you're going to need to get into the habit of hitting up multiple of them to try to pick up the win. You can see this player was pretty good, so I had to mix things up. The good news is that consecutive smashes get faster and stronger each time you do them, so while I tried a drop shot to begin with, I then hit up 2 super smashes to finish it off. And that is a run through of my top 25 best badminton tips for Nintendo Switch Sports. Like I said earlier, if the video helps you out and helps you win more games, drop me a like below and don't forget to leave a comment. You can also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already with the link on the left hand side and see more of my guide videos for Nintendo Switch Sports with the links on the right hand side. Leave any comments and I will catch you next time.